The Genesis GV80 probably won't be the large luxury SUV that's top of your wish list if you're looking at a big 5 or 7 seat crossover of this kind, but it comes with everything you could want as standard, plus it offers superb refinement, outstanding interior quality and a rather unique sales and aftercare package. As the market's newest luxury automotive brand, this Korean maker has big plans for Europe, and if you're after something a bit different in this segment, this car might just be precisely what you're looking for.
So, what have we here? A fresh brand, Genesis, and its biggest SUV, the GV80. You'll have noticed just how much higher quality Korean-made cars are these days, to the point where both Hyundai and Kia now feel justified selling their largest and most luxurious models at or around the £50,000 mark. But is our market ready for a proper premium luxury brand from Korea? Well, the US market has been for some time, and the Hyundai Motor Group's Genesis brand has done quite well there. One of its models, a large saloon, was sold here between 2015 and 2017, badged as the Hyundai Genesis, but only 50 were shifted before that car was quietly deleted. Now, though, the European market is much more open to premium Korean products, and the Genesis brand launched here in 2021 with 2 models, the G80, a large luxury saloon, and our subject here, the GV80, a large luxury SUV. To power this car, Genesis could simply have lifted the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid powertrains that parent company Hyundai Motor Group uses in the Kia Sorento and the Hyundai Santa Fe. But no, from the launch of this GV80, customers were simply offered 2 conventional unelectrified units, either a straight 6 278 PS 3-litre diesel or a 304 PS 2.5-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol power plant, the one we're trying here. As expected, both are mated to an 8-speed automatic gearbox. With either engine, you can expect exceptional levels of drive refinement, and that can be aided by special noise-cancelling technology. This petrol model emits quite a potent distant roar, although you might find that mildly irritating after a while. It's reasonably swift though, it makes 62 in 7.7 seconds on the way to 147 miles an hour. For the diesel version, the figures are 7.5 seconds and 143 miles an hour. To replicate those figures, you'll have to have selected the most urgent of the 3 provided drive modes, Sport. The other 2 are Eco and Comfort. The latter best, of course, for experiencing the best that the standard electronic control suspension has to offer. Its adaptive damping effect is aided by a camera that monitors the road surface and adjusts the suspension to suit the tarmac tears and the potholes that you're about to pass over. You expect this car to be something of a luxury wafter, and sure enough, there is the rather light and woolly steering that tends to characterise this kind of big SUV. Once we got this GV80 to a few secondary roads though, we found that it actually handles better than we'd expected. What it does with the optional eLSD electronic limited slip differential fitted anyway, which is what we have here. If you have the optional Ergo Motion driver's seat fitted, a selection of the sport mode tightens the side bolsters around you, which through the twists and turns, presumably as intended, distracts you a bit from noticing the kind of pitch and roll which afflicts all big SUVs of this size, which is not surprising because this one tips the scales at over 2,300 kilos. But likely buyers aren't people who are going to want to throw this car about. They will, though, want the latest in semi-autonomous drive tech, which of course is provided here, along with plenty of gadgets, including a self-parking system which will parallel park your GV80 for you via the remote while you're standing outside the car. That's ideal if you're trying to get into a really tight space. That's a more likely scenario than venturing off-road, but if you do want to do a thing like that in your GV80, then Genesis provides 3 terrain drive modes for that purpose: mud, snow and sand. Off-piste, you can monitor your progress via a terrain mode section of the centre dash screen, and that shows things like wheel angle, altitude and approach and departure angles. GV80 will make a decent enough statement at the golf club. It certainly has plenty of road presence. Some even see hints of Bentley Bentayga here, especially at the front, where this imposing G-matrix front grille dominates an upright stance, which is styled around the brand's so-called two lines design language. This references these split front LED headlights. These neat corner outlets with their fins and lower chrome strips provide a finishing touch. There's nothing super SUV about the overall size here though. The 4,945mm length actually places this Korean contender somewhere between a BMW X5 and an Audi Q7 in terms of pavement footprint. Twin gills sit above the front wheel arch, a silver finishing strip decorates the lower part of the side panels, and there are smart silver roof rails. The wheels will be either 20 inches or, as in this case with plusher trim, 22 inches in size. The rear gets split LED tail lamps separated by spaced Genesis lettering. There's a subtle roof spoiler, and lower down there's a silver framed exhaust on either side. Let's take a look inside. Once you've got used to the classical piano-like jingle which accompanies entry, don't worry, you can turn that off. One of the first things you notice is this simply enormous 14.5-inch central screen. Then you take in the wide centre console with its curious white central rotary infotainment controller and the horizontal vent that stretches from the instrument binnacle to the passenger door. You sit commandingly, and it certainly feels very premium with high quality materials and an almost Bentley-like knurled finish to some items of switchgear. Lots of effort's been made to push this cabin up market. The soft touch dash with its white double stitching, the brushed metal finish around the rotary gear selector, and door cards with delicately fashioned speaker vents. Quite a lot that you'd really want though requires top spec trim and or costs extra. This leather upholstery, the real wood interior trim, and the ventilated Ergo Motion driver's seat, for example. You'll also pay more for this 12.3-inch instrument binnacle screen with its smart 3D graphics. Without that, you get an 8-inch display. The screen changes in colour according to the selected drive mode, turquoise in eco, bronze in comfort, and grey in sport. We mentioned the central screen. It has two styles of homepage, either a picture with a temperature readout fading into navigation mapping, or you can swipe across to a screen full of icons. As well as the usual mapping, media, audio and phone sections, there's one for connected services, weather and calendar, etc., and another for a suite of Genesis live features, info on traffic, filling stations and parking along your route. Useful touches include a voice memo feature, a quiet mode which shuts off the speakers in the back, and a passenger talk function which amplifies the driver's voice through the speakers so that he or she can more easily talk to those in the back. There's plenty of space to store things, big glove box with a pen clip, a deep lidded bin between the seats, and a sliding panel at the base of the centre stack which eases back to reveal space for a wireless charging mat and a couple of USB-A ports. The door bins are quite small, but you do get an overhead sunglasses compartment, twin cup holders by the gear selector, and ticket clips on the sun visors. Plus there's extra storage space beneath the centre console along with a 12-volt socket. Let's take a look in the second row. The big doors open nice and wide to reveal a spacious rear bench which slides and reclines, although you have to pay extra for a powered operation. These rear quarter-light windows make it feel light and airy, and you could fit 3 adults across the back here without much trouble, thanks to this very low central transmission tunnel. There are seat back pockets, twin USB-A ports and coat hooks in both grab handles and in the B-pillars. The door bins are pretty small though. 2 cup holders slide out of the end of this central armrest. Top spec trim gets you rear air conditioning controls, seat heating, and these side window curtains too. Let's finish with a look out back. Now once the powered tailgate rises. You won't find quite as much cargo space as you'd have in the back of a competing Land Rover Discovery, but it is a match for what you'd get in an Audi Q7 or a Volvo XC90. With this 5-seat model, there's a 735-litre boot, which is more than you'll get in a BMW X5 or a Mercedes GLE. It'd be 727 litres in the 7-seat version with the third-row chairs folded. You access all this capacity via a rather high loading lip, topped impractically by a silvered strip that'll quickly scratch. A mat protects the floor, and beneath it you'll find a neat compartment that's wide enough to take the tonneau cover when that's not in use. Beyond that, there's space in a further underfloor area, or at least there will be if you're unwise enough not to specify the optional spare wheel here. There's netted storage on the right, there's lights and bag hooks on both sides, and there's a 12-volt socket on the left. Now, if you've specified the power folding rear bench we have here, then the switches for that are on the left too. By the way, the power operation only flattens the seat backs, and you've got this lower seat base switch here to do the same thing, but it doesn't raise them again, which is a pity because that does take quite a lot of effort. Now, with everything flat, there's 2,152 litres of capacity in this 5-seat model, or 2,144 in the 7-seater. Prices start at just under £57,000 for the 3-litre 278 PS diesel that most will want. You'll need £500 more if you want it with 7 seats. You can also talk to Genesis about the alternative 304 PS 2.5-litre petrol version we're trying here. There is a choice of either premium line or, as in this case, luxury line trim levels. Genesis doesn't have a network of UK dealerships. Instead, everything's done via so-called Genesis Studios, which will be shop fronts in upmarket shopping centres. One has already been opened in London and others will follow, but you don't have to go to one of those. You simply connect with Genesis online, and then you'll be allocated your own Genesis personal assistant, and they'll take you through the whole sales process from test drive to delivery, and they'll deal with aftercare too. Now, this assistant won't be salaried on commission as an ordinary car salesperson would be, so you won't get any hard sell. The GV80 prices we quoted earlier are comparable with the entry-level figures for cars like Audi's Q7, Volvo's XC90 or the Mercedes GLE, but with those models you'll have to spend a lot more to get a comparable level of equipment to that fitted with the GV80, and just about everything you can imagine is fitted as standard. Where to start? Well, you get electronic control suspension, adaptive damping, along with a drive mode select system and the brand's smart cruise control setup. Plus, of course, you get expected executive niceties like a powered rear tailgate, keyless entry, auto headlamps and wipers, all-round parking sensors, laminated side glass and an electrochromatic rear view mirror. Inside, there's an 8-inch dashboard cluster TFT display, dual-zone climate control, a rear-view camera and powered adjustment for the front seats and for the steering wheel. Infotainment, that's taken care of by a 14.5-inch central screen, which includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone mirroring, a 9-speaker premium DAB audio system, voice recognition and a suite of Genesis connected services. If you opt for base premium line spec, that kit tally will be complemented by 20-inch wheels and leatherette upholstery. Upgrade yourself to this top luxury line model and the wheels grow in size to 22 inches and the upholstery leather is real and perforated. Luxury line spec also adds real wood interior trim, a heated steering wheel, heated seats front and rear, a premium air filter and air conditioning controls and side curtains for the rear too. This test car has 4 of the key options that Genesis wants customers to consider. First and foremost is the Innovation Pack. Now, this gives you a larger 12.3-inch instrument binnacle screen with 3D graphics, plus a head-up display, a surround view monitor camera system, dual front adaptive LED headlamps, a wireless phone charger and a remote smart parking assist feature. And this allows you to park the car while you're standing outside it using buttons on the vehicle's key fob. The Innovation Pack that additionally gives you a wider package of camera safety kit. We'll brief you on that in a few moments. What else? Well, Genesis particularly wants you to consider adding in its ELSD limited slip differential for greater cornering traction, and there's an optional powered sunroof. Opt for this luxury line spec and you'll also be able to add in this test car's comfort seat pack, which upgrades the driver's seat to ergo motion status, and that means it alters support according to drive mode, and it adds extra adjustment, plus both front seats gain cooled ventilation. If you want, you can go further and add comfort packs for the second, and if they're fitted, the third row chairs, which would embellish your GV8 with laminated rear glass, powered adjustment, 40-20-40 split folding backrest, rear side curtains and a 220 volt AC inverter. With luxury line spec, you can also pay extra for the top end Lexicon audio system we've been trying here. Bear in mind though, but before you spend too much on all that sort of stuff, you'll have to pay extra for metallic paint and a spare wheel, and you can only have that on the 5-seat model. As you'd expect, as standard on the GV80, there's a decent package of camera safety kit, starting with the usual autonomous braking system, forward collision avoidance assist. It's a setup that detects pedestrians, cyclists and other vehicles in close proximity. The brand has developed this further with a forward collision avoidance assist junction turning feature. Now this anticipates oncoming traffic that you might be just about to turn out in front of at junctions. You'll be warned if that's just about to happen, and if necessary, the car will be braked to avoid an impact. There is also an LKA, lane keeping assist feature, which applies subtle steering lock if you drift out of lane or you drift too close to the edge of the roadway, and a lane follow assist setup too, which keeps you a safe distance behind the vehicle ahead, and that combines with an HDA highway driving assist feature to automatically adjust the car's speed to suit the surrounding traffic. As well as that, you'll get the usual passive safety features for traction, stability and braking, plus a full suite of airbags, including a centre airbag along with the driver's knee bag. And driver attention warning. Now, this constantly monitors your driving reactions for drowsiness, which, if it's detected, will prompt you to stop for a restorative coffee. An e-call setup that will alert the emergency services with your GPS location if the airbags go off in an accident. And there's also a tyre pressure warning system. If you want more, then the optional Innovation Pack we mentioned earlier on adds an active rear assist reverse parking collision avoidance assist feature, which alerts you to people, objects or other vehicles when you're reversing out of a space. The Innovation Pack also includes a rear seat alert feature, and this reminds drivers to check the rear seats when they're exiting the vehicle. And the forward collision avoidance assist feature that also gains a crossing element, which also detects vehicles crossing in front of you, which might be a hazard. Plus you also get blind spot collision avoidance assist, and this stops you from pulling out dangerously in the face of oncoming traffic. If necessary, it'll also brake to avoid a collision. This functionality also upgrades the car's highway drive assist system to a level 2 status, which promotes a limited level of highway-based autonomous driving, and it can help you while changing lanes or during evasive driving with a lane change assist system. Now this works when you activate the indicators. You won't be expecting a large, heavy SUV like this to be particularly economical, and this one isn't. WLTP rated combined cycle fuel economy for the diesel is rated at between 31.5 and 33.1 miles per gallon. The CO2 figure for the diesel is up to 220 grams per kilometre, and that puts this variant in a 37% BIK tax band. For this 2.5 litre petrol version, the economy figures are 25.3 to 26.1 mpg with a CO2 reading of up to 241 grams per kilometre. Insurance for the diesel, that's rated at either 46D or 48D depending on trim. For this petrol version, it's grouped 45D to 47D. Every Genesis is covered by a 5-year care plan, which includes scheduled servicing for 5 years or 50,000 miles. With each service visit, your Genesis will be collected and returned to your door. This also applies to any necessary work required, including warranty work. You simply contact your Genesis personal assistant to make that happen. They can also arrange a courtesy car. The 5-year care plan also includes updates to in-car navigational maps, and there's complimentary subscription to Genesis connected services, which will allow you to access information services from your phone to enhance your ownership experience digitally. Recent history is littered with would-be premium brands which never quite gained mainstream acceptance in Europe. Will Genesis be any different? Well, there are grounds for thinking so. It has the might of the Hyundai Motor Group behind it. The customer service approach that's being offered here seems genuinely appealing, and if this GV80 is anything to go on, the product seems strong. Whether you'll like it will probably depend on what you think of the established premium brands. If you're a bit tired of them and their snooty dealerships, then you might find Genesis, and this model in particular, to be something of a breath of fresh air. To appreciate the GV80, you'll have to be someone who defines driving enjoyment in terms of a lowering rather than a raising of the heart rate. But if you do, then there's lots to like here, particularly if you happen to find the styling distinctive. In a few years' time, it'll be strange to think that we even doubted that Korea could bring us a credible premium automotive brand, and Genesis will be the reason why.